Bonjour, peeps. Hi, this is Neshi Locatz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page and the daily live stream for the card draw energy for the day to see how the day unfolds and, what energy is important for us to know about on this given day, right? Saturday, September 15th. This week went by really fast, didn't it? Extremely fast. And it has been a very warm, humid few days here. Yeah, I had to put extra product in the hair so it didn't frizz out on me. Yeah, very humid. And, add that to the mosquitoes, and being outside is a little uncomfortable, just a little. We figured out how to deal with some of the mosquito issues when we take George out. Because mosquitoes, they're not very good flyers. And so if you can put a fan on high somewhere, usually it's enough to take care of them so they're not bothering you for a little while anyway. And it beats putting off on, that stinky stuff. Yuck. So I don't like that stuff. So Paul has I don't know, engineered, I guess is a good word, how to put a fan outside underneath this portico that we have that's where he grills. And so at least we can be out there with George and not have to be attacked by a swarm of mosquitoes. Hey, good morning, Mary and Margaret. Good morning. And Elise, good morning to you, ladies. Thank you for joining me this morning on this Saturday morning. Yeah, I would have had coffee, except Mom had 2 cups of coffee this morning, and I don't make that much coffee because usually it's just her and I drinking it, right? And I was just getting so much done this morning. I didn't want to stop to brew another pot of coffee, so I grabbed some iced tea out of the refrigerator. It's good. It's good. It's black tea. It still has caffeine. I like it. I like it a lot. So are you guys having a good morning? Yeah, good Saturday morning. It was interesting kind of energy this morning because I wanted to grab my numerology books and go over a couple of things that we talked about yesterday. And, and I haven't done numerology specific, like as a full-blown reading kind of thing in a few years. And so when I was going through the information for the karmic debt, it's kind of complicated, just a wee bit. And so I was going through the information, and I was thinking, I think what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about this morning. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to arrange to do a class, a mini class, a free class for you guys via live stream. I don't know if I'll do it here on the public forum or if we're going to do it in the closed group. I haven't quite figured that piece out yet. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to cover karmic debt, and we're going to cover it more in depth, and karmic lessons and how you can figure that out through numerology and your name and your birth date and all of that. So, but we're going to cover a little bit of the karmic debt because I promised, right? I promised that we were going to do that this morning. Hey, good morning, Mary Anderson Fry. Good morning, Margaret. Good Saturday morning, right? Yeah, so I did draw a card this morning. Why? Because it's kind of a habit, I sit down with my breakfast or I'm waiting for breakfast, one of the two, and then I do my card draw. And so this is what came this morning using the same deck of cards. It's I am an immortal spiritual being. An immortal spiritual being. That's another good mantra, isn't it? I think so. And on the back of the card, it says, you will not die when your body dies. A part of you goes on. You will be reunited with your loved ones because they're also immortal. So, our soul group, right? Our soul group. We we run in packs. Speaking of a dog analogy, right? Um, we end up here on our spiritual journey here on Earth, our Earth walk, and we gravitate toward people who we feel comfortable with, right? Yeah, and many of those people are a part of our soul group. And and how big is a soul group? I don't know really. Yeah, I would imagine it's pretty big. Um, a lot of souls in one group. We meet them, and sometimes we become, really good friends, and we support each other. And others of our soul group are our antagonists, and we don't necessarily hang out with them. They cause us grief sometimes in our earth life. They're the ones that cause the friction, and they bring to us those life lessons that we need to learn, because it was part of our soul contract. And then there's another whole group of souls that are still in spirit, that are not on the earth plane with us, who are, I don't know, maybe sometimes they're actually part of our spiritual team, right? They can be. Our ancestors certainly can be. And our soul family, they're the ones who are ready to greet us, and in my imagination are the ones planning the party for our return home, our homecoming. When we leave our physical body, when we disengage from the physical body, and we go home, right? I always wonder why there's some souls that don't go through, as Carl Franklin calls it, the tunnel of light, or they don't go to the light. That they choose to stay in between, those earthbound spirits, right? Some of them, it's because they're scared. They're frightened, and so they don't move toward the light. Some, that they left their physical body so quickly, that they don't realize they don't have a body. And then those are the ones that you read about, or you hear about, that are stuck in a loop, right? They keep reliving the same day over and over and over. And it's because they don't realize that time has passed. They're stuck. And so when you're doing space clearings and you're helping to move souls toward the light, they're the ones that that you have the most compassion for, really, and to explain to them about not having a physical body and the shock, even with that, when they realize, oh, that's so right. And sometimes you have to be kind of logical with them. It's like, you show them the date, the year, the date, the day, and say how much time has passed since they left their physical body. And then you have angels come, or you have loved ones, their soul family, waiting for them, and they can sense them, they can see them or feel them, and then they move to the light. Sometimes it can be very graceful and very loving, because you can feel the immense love of those on the other side of the veil, waiting for them to come, right? To come back. Yeah. And then there's those that just, they loved their earth life. They didn't want to let it go, or aspects of it. And so those are the ones that are attached sometimes to physical things like houses and land, and banks and money and that kind of thing. And so they refuse to leave because they don't want to leave this life behind. And those are the ones that are really difficult to move on. Sometimes you have to almost like negotiate, almost not quite, because especially if they're causing havoc for the family in the home presently. And so they don't have an option to stay. Yeah, and those are the ones you still have compassion for them, but you're a little bit more forthright and a little bit more. Um, I don't even know what's a good word to describe it. You're serious. You are serious. You're kind of like Gandalf in a way, where in the movie where he plants his staff on that walkway, and he says, "You shall not pass." Yeah, kind of like that. Um, and so you have your team, your spiritual team, helping you to do that, and then you can call on the angels. They're part of Archangel Michael's. I call them the squad. They're the angels that they're third. They're escorts. There's a certain name for them. Third something. Anyway, they're escorts, and they'll escort the spirit, to the light. And sometimes what we do is we actually ask that one of their soul family, that the one who loves them the most, to come and to be with them and to help them move toward the light. Yeah. So we are immortal. Our soul is immortal. Our soul has many, many experiences, not just this one. And even when I think about it, I get kind of excited about that. The thought of it, that this is not the only existence, that we've had so many. And whether you believe in past lives in that term, or if you believe in parallel lives in that term, but this particular one isn't the only one. That's how our soul gathers so much wisdom over the lifetimes, right? Over the lifetimes. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's really fun. I love to learn. I don't know about you guys, but I love to learn, especially new things I've never heard before, never seen before. It's like, yay. And and most of us are avid readers, aren't we? We get those books that we can't get enough of learning. And yeah, so our soul is immortal and immortal. And I think that's one of the reasons why Dr. Weiss, in his work, and the progressive hypnotherapy, he helps his clients or his patients to heal their current issues through hypnosis, if it fits, right? And how it started out for him was that his patients were explaining to him what they were experiencing, what they were seeing, and he realized that it was from another lifetime. And so that was before he knew anything about past lives. And so his patients were sharing with him those past lives and how those decisions affected this life, their current life, and to be able to heal and to maybe do some forgiveness work, that kind of stuff, to help their physical health on this side, in this particular lifetime. And then he had a patient who surprised him. He thought that they were doing a past life regression. Regression. And she started talking about seeing two paths, and that decisions in this lifetime affect which path that's going to be taken. And she could actually see aspects of that future life, of if she made a decision that affected one of those lives, she could see it. And so she could decide in the decision, right, that if she wanted to have that experience in a different way in that future life. So our soul already knows. That's the cool part of it. Our soul already knows, and that's a part of us that is so wise. And that if we pull ourselves together, aspects of ourselves, and really believe that we are a whole being, WHOLE, whole being, that we are not just fractions, right? Like your inner child is over there and your higher self is over there, and they're outside of you, and you have to try really hard to reach them, right? Not necessarily. It can be if that's what you create. Those aspects are right here. They're right here. They're in your heart. They're in your high heart. We're already whole. It's just remembering that we are. Remembering that we are. And, and when we have some soul loss, if we've had a trauma of any kind that just rocks us to our core, that there is, our soul can break off a bit and stay in that moment, in that soul loss, right? And so then we have soul retrieval. And so that you can have a healer, an energy worker, a shaman, if you will, one who travels in the dark, can go and help you to locate those bits of your soul that have fractured, and can go and retrieve that part of you and bring that back to you. But that happens during really extreme traumas. A shock to the psyche, they would say. Yeah. So our soul is immortal. It lives for as long as the Creator chooses us to live. And, just think about that. Our soul conception. Where was your soul conceived and when? That's, for me, that was a huge question. And I found out those answers through an astrology reading with an esoteric astrologer. I found this person, and I can't even remember her name. I'd have to look it up, through Shirley MacLaine's website years ago, and found that my soul was conceived on the planet Ceres. And when I asked about how long ago, and the reply was, well, you walked with Abraham. You walked with Abraham. And you were older than Abraham. Okay. So yeah, an old soul, some would say, maybe. Yeah. And how they classify what an old soul is, the description of them, right? Yeah. You know what we forgot to do? Forgot to like and share. Why do I forget to do that? I just start talking. I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to like the live stream, and then share it to my timeline. Forgot to do that. I'm just going to say, hey, friends. Oops. See, hit the wrong key. I'm just going to say I'm live streaming. And just say, please join me. There we go. I'm going to post that. It was simple enough, huh? All right. Yeah. So asking those people in the chat, do you believe that your soul is immortal? Do you believe that? I'm just sharing it to one more place. Do you believe your soul is immortal? Just give you a second to reply. Actually, because there's a 5 second delay. Whoops, I gotta turn my sound down. So honestly, when we think about belief systems around this, so many of the organized, structured religions have this belief, yeah, that the soul is immortal, saving your immortal soul, right? Yeah. And then there are some beliefs where they don't believe that the soul is immortal, that this is our one time and out, right? That this is our one shot at this life, and when we're done, we're done. Nothing happens. Nowhere, you're dead, you're gone. That's it. Yeah. Even if you believed in that, then making every second of this particular life count, right? That there's procrastination probably shouldn't be a part of your vocabulary. Denial shouldn't be a part of your vocabulary. Anything that would impede or stop your soul growth. Oh, wait, you don't believe you have a soul. Your experience. Anything that would jeopardize or bar your experience that you would need to remove so that you could have the fullest possible experience, right? Elise says, I'm not sure what I believe. Yeah, well, that's okay. That's all right. That's because you're searching. You're searching. And when you hear it, when you read it, it's going to hit your senses in a way that you say, oh, that light bulb moment, that aha moment. It's one of those things that it's hard to describe. Lost for words kind of thing. Yeah. And it's not so much what we were told when we were growing up, when we were kids. It can be, but it isn't necessarily that we have to adhere to that just because our parents did, right? Just because our grandparents did. Yeah, there's a lot of different religions out there, a lot of different beliefs. I was just thinking about even with Native American traditional beliefs, and the only one there, I'm only familiar with 2 of them, and there's a whole bunch of them out there. Is that the Medicine Lodge? Now, I'm not a member. I'm not a member of the Medicine Lodge. But with the Medicine Lodge, they do believe that the soul is immortal. That the soul returns back to the Creator, back to Mauna. That what we do here makes a difference to our soul's journey back home. Yeah. In fact, when a member walks on, when they pass away, there's prayers, of course. There's we have more ceremony around the passing away of somebody than of somebody being born. That comes into the physical life. There's more ceremony around the soul who is going home than the soul who's coming in. And just as a side note, if I had a dime for every time I was asked to help with to give information about a Native American wedding, there are some now. More like ceremonies around the union of two people. But what I grew up with, um, from from the Ho-Chunk Native outlook, is that there wasn't a ceremony. Two people decided to be together, and sometimes, yeah, they had to ask, the leader about it, but not. I mean, there were two people who were going to come together, and when they were going to separate, to go their separate ways, that's what they did. you know. Yeah, there wasn't this elaborate ceremony where you have special clothes made, and you walk down the aisle kind of thing. No, no. And the children, before colonization, the children belonged to the mother. Didn't belong to the father. Belonged to the mother. Yeah, they knew who their father was, but the mother is the one who took care of them and raised them, and the father or fathers are the ones who provided for his children, for his child. Whether it was in food, in shelter, that kind of stuff. But the mother is the one who provided the structure for the child. And it's not to say that the father didn't spend time with their children or child. They did. It's just that the child would always talk about who their mother was, and then say who their father was. So it was more matriarchal than patriarchal. Just a side note, a tangent. And so being immortal, right? Yeah. That reminds me of, there's also a belief, and I don't know, I think that maybe there's some of the Christianity mixed in with this one. It may have changed over time as Christianity came in with the missionaries and changed lives drastically for a lot of Native people. But there is this one belief about the soul that when you do bad medicine, when you consciously, intentionally use your gifts to do harm to another, that what comes back, it comes back to you tenfold, right? And in many ways, many times, that means that you have some soul loss or loss of soul, kind of like dancing with the devil kind of thing, But I really do think that there's, when you hear the stories, that there could be some Christianity belief systems folded into that. I always wonder, what did my let's see, it'd be my fifth great grandparents. Well, how would they say that story, right? How would they have told that? We do know for a fact that there are people who use their gifts in that way, and so maybe there was something to that soul loss. Yeah. I'm gonna have to ask my mom about that. Yeah. Okay, so let me check the time. I'm trying to leave enough time to talk about that karmic debt that we did yesterday. And yesterday's card was, I know that karma does not mean suffering or punishment. That we're here to learn, not to suffer. Karma is the result of your past actions, allowing you to learn and grow. That was yesterday's card. And I had asked if you guys knew how to find out if you came in with any karmic debt. And I have to admit that this part of numerology can be hard to understand. Okay, and so I'm going to do my best to at least explain it to you, and then maybe what we can do is in another live stream, as a mini class, we can work with figuring out your karmic debt and also a karmic lesson or lessons. Yeah. Okay. So here's the book that I used a lot, and you can tell. Look at all the tabs, and it's a well-used book, copyrighted in, where's the copyright date? 1994. Copyrighted in 1994 by Decaz. Hans Decaz. And I do have the software that you can purchase through Hans Decaz, either for your personal use and or the professional software to do numerology readings for other people. And I haven't used it in such a long time, and I tried using it maybe a year ago or 2 years ago or something like that, and I realized that I need to update it, and with the update comes a fee because it's so out of date. I haven't done that yet, and I'm not sure if I'm going to. I might. All right, so here's the information about the karmic debt, but through Hans Decaz's perspective, okay? The karmic debt numbers, it says numerology is based on the ancient idea that each of us is a spiritual being or a soul who incarnates on the earth many times in order to further evolve toward higher states of awareness. So, and he says that it's an earth event for you, okay, your life here, and that we come back several times. And I do believe that we do experience many lives here on Earth, but I also believe that we experience lives on other planets. Why would Earth be the only planet that can sustain a certain kind of life, right? That's what I believe anyway, my 2 cents. He also says that during our long evolutionary path of incarnations, we have accumulated a wealth of wisdom. We have made many good choices that benefit us in future lifetimes. Okay, so here we go again, in future lifetimes. We have also made mistakes and have sometimes abused the gifts we have been given. So abuse the gifts can also mean misuse of power, all right? And, most of us, most of the souls, we've been around the block a few times. And so literally we have been everything. We have experienced many different variations of life here. We were male, female. We were rich. We were poor. We were masters at magic. We were novices at magic. We were priests, high priestess or priests, and we've been peasants. Okay, we've experienced life in many, many, many different ways. And so when we say that we made a mistake, usually means that there's some intentionality to it, some consciousness to it, right? Because if you did something and you didn't know anything about it and you made a misstep, that's out of ignorance. That's because you don't know, literally do not know. A mistake is when you have some knowledge about it and you move forward with the knowledge and you make a misstep, and that's a mistake. You made a decision to use it differently, okay? or to do it differently. So with this, it could come one of those life experiences where we had a misuse of power. So to rectify such errors, we may take on an additional burden in order to learn a particular lesson that we failed to learn in previous lifetimes. In numerology, this burden is called a karmic debt. All right, so let's put an example to that. Let's put an example to it. Let's say in a past life, you had the ability to, I don't know, think of a good one, right? Let's say you were a doctor, okay, and you had this ability, the ability to set bones, broken bones. That is a knowledge that many people in different lifetimes, depending on when it happened, was a very difficult thing to learn. You had to know quite a bit to be able to set a bone, right? A broken bone. And then to stabilize it so that it would heal correctly. The misuse of power in that could have been maybe there was an contemporary, someone who was maybe a competition to you, and they had a broken bone, and they were brought to you to set the bone, and you intentionally didn't set it correctly, or intentionally didn't stabilize it correctly, so that they would heal, but they would heal with a disability, let's call it that. Maybe they weren't able to fully use their arm or use their arm at all. And so now they're no longer competition to you, because now they have, their ability has been impaired, right? And you consciously did that. That would be bad medicine, literally, right? And so in order to balance out that karma, because you created it in a physical life, in order to balance it out, you have to be in a physical life. So here you write up your soul contract, and this is, you say you want to balance this karma out and learn more about how to use power correctly, more with compassion. And so it gets approved, signed off by the creator, and you come back. But in your soul contract, you have, I want to balance this debt out, and I want to make good on what I did, that misuse of power before. So I would like to take on this additional debt, this additional burden to correct, to balance out. And so you come into this lifetime with this additional burden to balance out. It's called a karmic debt. Yeah. Okay. Rob is saying, why would we be limited to only incarnate in one kind of life? Exactly. Obviously, we are limited in a single lifetime, but why would we be limited to a single material form in which to incarnate? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So we incarnated here as this kind of particular two-legged being. On another planet, it could be a completely different kind of form. We don't know. Yeah. Rob also says you had the ability to astral travel, but only used it to sneak in to Kiss concerts without paying. Exactly. Misuse of power, misuse of a gift. Okay, he says there's no accounting for taste. All right, so yeah, you misused your gift for a Kiss concert. Personally, I would have chosen Billy Joel or Steve Miller. Yeah, it's dating myself a bit, right? All right, so the karmic debt. Now, the thing is with the karmic debt, it's kind of a challenge to to identify. There's numbers within your core numbers. Your core numbers are your life path, your expression, heart's desire, personality, and birthday. Okay, those are your core numbers. And so there's certain numbers that appear in your core numbers that can tell you if you came in with a karmic debt. And those core numbers are 13, 14, 16, and 19. They're double-digit numbers, and they take on a great significance when they're found in the core numbers, is what Hans says. Okay, so that's 13, 14, 16, and 19. I'm going to type that in as a comment. So karmic debt numbers are 13, 14, 16, and 19. And they appear, got to spell right, appear in the core numbers. And those are your life path, heart's desire, birthday, and there was one more, personality. And just so you know that there's numerology, some of the language vocabulary is the same, and some teachers use different vocabulary for the same thing. Okay, and so Hans uses life path, heart's desire, birthday, and personality for the core numbers. All right, so your core numbers, you may encounter the numbers 1, 4, 5, or 7 when you're figuring out your core numbers. These single-digit numbers can be arrived at by adding a variety of 2-digit numbers. All right. So, for example, you could have the numbers 10, the number 10, and so you add the 1 and the 0 together, and you get 1. Okay. If you had the number 19, you would add the 1 and the 9 together, and you'd get 10, and then you'd add the 1 and the 0 together to get 1. All right, so he says that, however, only in the case of 19 is a karmic debt indicated. The karmic debt are also associated with numbers 4, 5, and 7. These numbers can be preceded by an array of 2-digit numbers. Okay, so the thing is that the karmic debt can be found in different places in your chart. As a result, the totals based on your birth date, for instance, or the calculations based on the letters in your name. So your karmic debt can be found in different places in your chart, and any place that's found, it takes on that flavor of that part of the chart. Okay. See what I told you about? It can be a little challenging. It can be a little challenging to understand and to derive at. Elise said, I just got nauseous. I was married to Steve Miller. LOL. Sorry about that. I was talking about the musician, the Steve Miller Band. Rob saying, growing up in the 80s, I found Kiss fans annoying. Well, me too. Elise says, geez, Rob, you're just a kid. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, well, we had in the 70s, we had a lot of great bands. We had Styx and Journey in Kansas and Steve Miller and who am I missing? I love Billy Joel. America, right? We had, I drew a blank. Seals and Croft. We had a lot of great bands and duos in the 70s. Yeah. All right. So the karmic debt. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to find a day or an evening to do this mini class yet this month. Okay. And we're going to do a little numerology. So we're going to figure out your debt number if you have a karmic debt. If you have a karmic debt. And if you do, what is it? Okay. And then we're going to work on karmic lessons. And a karmic lesson is a little bit different than a karmic debt. The karmic lesson, let's see, I'll give you a good definition for it. All right, so the karmic lesson, numerology is based on the understanding that we enter life with certain strengths and weaknesses. Karmic lessons are areas that we are currently weak in and that we must face and work on in this lifetime. There can be more than one karmic lesson. All right, so karmic lessons are indicated when one or more of the 9 single-digit numbers are missing in your name. So we come in with strengths and weaknesses, and a karmic lesson, when we figure that out, we can see where our weaknesses are, and so where our what we have to learn about. That's what we came here to learn. You know, we call it life lessons. He's calling it a karmic lesson. And so with the soul growth, once we finish, we accomplish, we complete that lesson, we gathered the wisdom from it, then we can move on. We have that soul growth and move on to that next layer of understanding and growth, right? So that was one of the reasons why I loved numerology. It gave us a starting point, a place to understand, kind of like street signs on a map. You know, when you're going to a destination, and you have your GPS set, they'll tell you turn right on blah 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 or turn left on blah blah blah. You know, in 3/4 of a mile. So that's how I see numerology, is that it gives us a path, it gives us an idea of what it is that we're working with or working toward. Elise is saying, do we get to see George today? No, unfortunately, no, you don't. He is with Paul right now, and they're working on training stuff. And when I left the house, George was sleeping. And so, yeah. Paul is trying to jerry-rig this fan thing outside so that when we're outside with George, it's a little bit more comfortable. But nope, sorry, not today. Maybe tomorrow. Depends on if he's sleeping when I leave. All right. Elise says, I'm more of a Neil Diamond girl. Well, Neil Diamond has some good tunes too. He does too. Oh yeah, Boston. Yes, Rob says Boston. Okay, and did you mean ELO, Rob? ELP. Who's ELP? ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. They're pretty good too. All right, so a little numerology. You know what I should do? You know, we did some information, some series on shamanic items, shamanic journey. What do you guys think about doing a little numerology study together? You know, we could do that through the academy, and figuring out your karmic information is really helpful. But we could do other numerology stuff too. You know, we could work on heart's desire. We could work on just your basic core numbers. We could do that. I'll, I don't know. I don't know if I'll have time this month to be able to figure out my decause software issue. But I could try to get it done in October, and we could do a little numerology exploration. Could do that. That'd be fun. Oh, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Thank you. Yeah, and Yes is a band. I thought you were agreeing with Elise. That's too funny. All right. Oh my goodness. Um, yeah. So anything about being an immortal being, our soul is immortal. The information that we shared about that, anything that resonated with you, my suggestion is to embrace it, grab it, and see how the energy today unfolds for you and where this information could present itself to you. And then if it does, are you an active participant or are you a witness to it? Either way, you're learning something from it, and just to be aware of it and notice it, right? And if it didn't resonate with you, like I say, it's okay. You can just let it go, let it lie, and or maybe you can be the messenger and share the recorded video with a friend, with somebody that you may know who would benefit or enjoy the information that was discussed today. You could do that. And what's coming up? What's coming up? Well, we're still working on getting the things pulled together for the class coming up next weekend. We're inching closer and closer to the completion of stuff, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun weekend. I can't wait. And then next week we got shows coming up. We have the Tarot Journey with Julie Hedges, and she's talking about self-care. That's Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And Paul Krauss show, it happens on Monday night as well, and his show starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then we have Tuesday, I should say, we have Polly Joe Bay on at noon Eastern on Tuesday, and I should remember what hers was about. We just did the promo for that, and I don't recall it. Boundaries. I think it was setting boundaries, healthy boundaries. And then my show that evening, Communications from Home, is at 8 p.m. Eastern, and I have a guest, or I think I have a guest. I haven't heard back about his internet situation. His name, get this one, James Morrison. James Morrison. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if it was the James Morrison? Have an interview with him. James Morrison is a friend of mine, a past colleague of Awakening Illuminated Heart classes, and so we're going to have a chat with him if he can get the internet situation situated. Okay, and then Wednesday, of course, is Polly Jola Bay's show, evening show at 7 p.m. It's not really a show; it's an hour and a half of healing meditation. And then there's individual card reading, divine messages through that. So, yeah, it's going to be a good week. And guess who's going to be here Thursday night? Thursday is Minnie will be showing up with her sister to teach the class, right? So Minnie and I, our show would normally, Nature Adventures, would normally be on Thursday night, but they're going to be en route. And so what we're going to do is we're going to move Nature Adventures to Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday afternoon, I believe it's at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Nature Adventures with Minnie and I. Okay? We'll get those promos out to you guys, and so you can mark your calendars to join us on that new day and time for Nature Adventures. Okay, so Rob is saying Greg Lake was actually who inspired me to ask for a guitar. I played piano before that. The rest, they say, is history. Well, I'm glad you did. Hey, Mary Ellen, the Eagles. I forgot about the Eagles. Yes, you're right. Cindy Lynn joined. Cindy, missed you all. Oh, I hope all is okay with you. Things are going well, okay, Cindy? Just checking in. Elise says, hope you're staying safe, Cindy Lynn. Yep. Rob saying, gotta go. Thank you. Great show. You're welcome, Rob. I gotta go too. I gotta go finish painting. Um, so enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow, Sunday, 10 a.m. Central, 11 Eastern, for today's card draw live stream. And until then, Bama Mina. That's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.